Mommy? How come the wolf always has to be the bad guy, huh? Everybody's mean to them, and they always get killed at the end. It's 'cause of that. I don't want to be a wolf.
Mommy thinks wolves are pretty nice people, even if everybody else is mean to them. I'm gonna stick up for the wolves through thick and thin, no matter what.
The film Wolf Children is easily my favorite of director Mamoru Hosoda's portfolio. All of his films use a compelling fantastical element in order to tell a beautiful and heartfelt story. But I feel like Wolf Children brings a uniquely powerful look at humanity's relationship with nature. One of the most obvious connections the characters get to the natural world are their names. Hana, which means flower, Yuki, which means snow, and Ame, which means rain. These names mean much more than just being pretty ways of symbolically connecting them to the natural world, however. They reveal deep and meaningful truths about each of their personalities. Hana's name meaning flower reflects her gentle and beautifully resilient nature. Her father named her this way because the day she was born, a cosmos flower bloomed in their backyard, without anyone having planted it, and he wanted her to always smile like that flower did, even in the hardest of times. The flower becomes a motif of sorts throughout the film, making for a striking image the day her husband dies, and Hana's resilient nature is most greatly tested. Yuki and Ame are both named in accordance with the weather on the days they were born. The only other major scene strongly associated with Yuki's namesake of snow is perhaps the most joyous and lovely of the whole film, and it reflects her joyful and playful nature ever since she was a child. Ame's connection to rain, however, has a more melancholy meaning. The first strong association we have with rain in the film is their father's death. As Hana realizes he is gone, the sound of the rain falling drastically increases in volume, drowning out everything else. The same thing happens later when Ame decides he's going to leave her and become the guardian of the mountain. In this way, rain is tied with loss, or perhaps more accurately, moving on. From here I'm going to break this video up between external relationship with nature and internal relationship with nature. Let's begin with the external. The one who exemplifies this relationship the best is Hana, as she herself is an outsider when compared with her husband and children. She makes the decision to move to the countryside in order to allow Yuki and Ame to have the freedom to grow up as either wolves or children, but this brings along with it a number of obstacles. Her tight budget causes her to look to farming for provision, but this proves to be more of a challenge than she anticipated. The earth is tough and unyielding, and it's only with the help of her community that she is able to overcome it and reap its bounty. We also see her become closer to nature as a result of her children's identities. She tries her best to understand and raise them well, but wishes that their father were there to teach them all the things that she can't. Her persistence causes her to continue to learn everything she can about the natural world, and she begins to see the great beauty that it can hold. We even see glimpses of this beauty woven into their new house as she works tirelessly to make it a home. Her path also leads to her working as a conservationist, giving her an opportunity to give back and put something good into the world for her kids. Next, we'll look at how Wolf Children explores the internal relationship with nature. Yuki and Ame's connection to nature is a unique one, as they are half human and half wolf. Over the course of the film, they struggle with their unique identities and balancing the seemingly opposed halves that make up who they are. Yuki at first embraces her wolf identity, while Ame is much more hesitant, but we see this dynamic flip over time as their perceptions of their identities change and develop. As Yuki goes into school, she begins to realize that her wolfish tendencies alienate her from the rest of her classmates, so she suppresses that part of her identity in order to fit in. Later, after new arrival Sohei comments that she smells like she has dogs at home, the very next shot we see is of her washing her hands, trying desperately to erase any scent that may tie her to her wolf nature. On the day he nearly drowns, Ame has something of an awakening to his wolf nature, which sets him on a path to reject school in favor of learning how to live in the natural world, a decision which Yuki strongly disapproves of. We see this dilemma crescendo when the two fight over their opposing views of how they should live out their identities. The two eventually choose their separate paths, but we see each of them ultimately come to a place of acceptance with their identities. Lastly, we see the natural relationship between parents and children. There's an obvious resemblance between Yuki and her mother, and Ame and his father, and not just in looks, but also in the ways they behave. Yuki reflecting Hana's bold but tender personality, and Ame reflecting his father's stoicism and care for the natural world. Finally, we come to the hardest lesson Wolf Children has to teach us about the nature of parenting. Our children ultimately must make their own decision for which path they will take in life. This is terrifying for Hana, as she fears her child going down a path she can't control, that she has no knowledge of, that killed her husband. But as she comes to terms with Ame's choice, she comes to see that it is truly where he belongs. This look at nature is just a small aspect of what makes Wolf Children such a mesmerizing film. And while we may not all have grown up as literal wolf children, all of us have a connection to the natural world and struggle with our identities at one point or another. Wolf Children shows us to find the beauty in nature, to discover our true identities, and to remember all of the people who helped us along the way. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you see here and you want to see more of it, please subscribe, and comment down below your thoughts on Wolf Children. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next video.